huge fan of the show The Walking Dead. A lot of people that I know tend to call me the Walking Dead girl because, you know, I keep talking about it constantly and I don't really seem to shut up about anything else, so I figured I might start making video blogs on my thoughts, my views and reviews of the show. I firstly want to start off why I love The Walking Dead so much. I think a big shout out has to go to, you know, the man Robert Kirkman and, you know, Frank Darabont and Glenn Mazara and Charlie Adler, Tony Moore, that, you know, developed the show, and, you know, Gillian, you know, she's like great as a producer, and I think, you know, a lot of people tend to think of the actors and they don't really think about the people, you know, behind the show and how they play such an important part, so a big shout out to them. The reason why I love the show so much is because it's not, you know, zombie based, it's, you know, it's about people, it's momentarily about how people survive day to day. There's not like some big, you know, cure they're going to find at the end of it. They're not going to be able to kill all the zombies in the world. It's just, you know, one man and his group of survivors trying to make it in the world. And that leads me on to my next point, which is Rick Grimes, who I'll be talking about today. I really love the character Rick Grimes. I think ultimately when I first started reading the comics, he was the first character that stood out for me, even though we see, you know, it through his eyes. I think as the comic grew, obviously people will start to like more characters than others, and it's the same with the show. But I think Andrew Lincoln at first, I think, you know, he's great as Rick Grimes. He really looks the part. He's got better at it, you know, as the show progresses, and, you know, I think by the end of season 2 he's really got whatever it is that Rick Grimes, you know, possesses in the comics. You see that change through his eyes, and he gets that across through the camera to you. And I think there's a moment in one of the episodes at the end where Laurie tells Rick about Shane and says, you know, he thinks a baby in near his, and it's just that moment she's leaning on his back, that slow, you know, pan into Rick's face. I think that really got me. I think that's, you know, such a powerful moment, you know, for the show, because I think that's when Rick Grimes changes. That's when he becomes, you know, whoever he's going to become. And, you know, in the comics he's constantly changing. He's not finished growing whoever he's going to be. And, you know, I know it can be harsh, but, you know, that is the world that we live in. The world isn't about cuddly bunnies and, you know, oh, we found a refugee centre, you know, as they say, they're going to give us a cookie. That was Jackie, who I absolutely loved, and, you know, she's gone now, so R.I.P. Jackie. I love the element, the mix of the show, how, you know, people and the walkers, and, you know, I think it's an important thing to stress this early on, is the fact that, you know, the walkers aren't the only monsters in that world. There are, you know, bigger monsters, i.e. the governor, who will be coming up in season 3. I can't wait to see. I just think that, you know, the show covers so many important issues, and, you know, it's about survival, you know, mostly, but it's also about people's relationships and, you know, how they grow, and, you know, who are really the weaker and the stronger ones in the group. I mean, are they strong physically? Doesn't mean, you know, that they can toughen up here mentally and, you know, live through that world. I think that's a really important thing to remember, because, I mean, we look at Shane in the, you know, the TV show, John Bernal, again, fantastic actor, and I'm glad the show kept Shane in as long as he did. I know he dies pretty early on in the comics, but, you know, Shane to me was a fantastic character. The way they wrote him, the way John, you know, portrayed him, it really shows, you know, he has become a product of that world. And, you know, it's important the fact that you see the difference between Shane and Rick, because Shane doesn't believe that Rick can protect the group and lead them, you know, to safety. But the fact is that Shane, you know, he might be stronger physically, I think, than Rick, and he might be brutaler, but the fact is, up here he's weak, because he's given up on hope and everything that made them in the world before, and, you know, he wants to just sever all ties with that. And, you know, he thinks that's the best way to go forward, but Rick, on the other hand, is right. He has to hold on to morality and you know, this, you know, just because the world, as Dale said, as the world went to shit, doesn't mean, you know, you have to be dragged down with it. It just shows how weak Shane is compared to Rick, and I think that's a really important point to stress. And, you know, I think Rick Grimes now, he's the alpha male now, and I don't think, I mean, this is what Shane, in my point of view, season 1, he was the alpha male, looking after Laurie and Carl. He sort of played the father and the husband figure, rolled into one, plus to protect her, and, you know, Rick came back, and it's not like Rick stole his leadership off Shane. He didn't, because, you know, it wasn't like they had a big brutal fight and he was like, I'm the leader now. It was just a gradual takeover. People tended to, you know, wave more towards Rick instead of Shane, because they seen he was the more sensible and the more grounded, the more one that they could relate to, because Shane, you know, he's not going to give up on people, and Shane is ready, you know, to give up on Sophia. He's ready to just, you know, abandon the farm, doesn't think, you know, what's best for everyone. He just thinks what's best for Laurie and Carl, and that's not the right way to go, because there are other people depending on them. And, you know, it really shows through in season 2 at the end, when, you know, there's the big, you know, finale between Shane and Rick, and, you know, it just kind of shows that Shane, you know, he made the wrong choice. He could have, you know, talked to Rick, he could have worked through it. I know he had feelings for Laurie, and I know that Laurie didn't help, and I will cover Laurie in a later date sometime, because I have a lot of mixed opinions about her character. But I think, you know, at the end, Shane thought, you know, I'll kill Rick, and then everything that he seems to think he has will be mine. And I think Shane's pretty twisted up here, because he seems to think that Rick has got this big vendetta against him, and he's taking his, you know, his girl and his son away from him, when in fact, you know, she is Rick's wife and Carl is Rick's child. And, you know, he's not thinking logically, and I think towards the end he's built up this story and convinced himself so much that Rick, you know, isn't, you know, good for anyone, and, you know, the best way to, he's trying to convince himself enough to kill him, because I think obviously it's his best friend, and it's not easy for Rick, because he had to kill his best friend, but, you know, he's made his choice now, and he's realised, you know, this is a step they've had to take, and he can't go back now. Shane is dead, and Rick has to step up to the plate, basically, and look after, you know, who's left alive. And I think, you know, Rick Grimes is, you know, if I was in that situation, I think I would want him to be the leader as well. I don't want to be stuck with someone like Rick. So, you know, big things up, thumbs up to Rick Grimes.